Hey there, welcome back friends. Today we will talk about thread pools. Now what exactly is a thread pool? Thread pool is a method using which we can manage threads more efficiently, more easily. And today we will talk about thread pools. So let's get started. Now friends, in order to save some time, I have already added this project into Eclipse. We have this class by the name of app. Inside this class app, we also have the main method, which is the usual stuff. Moving forward, we also have this class by the name of SomeThread, and we have this property by the name of name. So let's proceed further and let's quickly add a new constructor inside our SomeThread class. So I will navigate to source, and then Eclipse is taking some time. Let me retry this. I will right click, navigate to source, and try to generate a constructor using the field name name. And here is our constructor. So that's one thing. Then moving forward, we need to also override the run method. So in here, I will simply type in run, and then I will hit Control plus space, and this will give me the option of autocomplete. And Eclipse is responding little slow today somehow. And here is the method run. So we have successfully overridden the run method, and inside this run method we will add a very simple statement. First of all, this statement would be like starting thread, and then we will put in the name of the thread, which would be, for example, any name, the name which we will initialize using our constructor. Alright, then in order to simulate that we are processing some data, let's do one thing. In here I will type in thread.sleep. So I will make the thread sleep for maybe 300 milliseconds, and then we need to also surround this with try catch block, which is a requirement, as a sleep method throws an interrupted exception. And then finally, once our work is done, our run method executed this statement starting thread, and our run method has waited for 3 seconds, we will again print one very simple message, which is, for example, running thread colon, and then we will print the name again. Alright, so this is usual stuff. And then moving forward, we will create couple of threads, and in order to save some time, I have already created some threads. In total there are 16 threads, and I have also provided the name as thread 1, thread 2 to thread 16. And then finally we have also started all of these threads inside our main method. Now for example, there are not 16 threads, maybe there are thousands and thousands of threads in your application or in your web application. Then it becomes important to manage these huge amount of threads. Now friends, if there are like huge amount of threads in your application, if there are interdependent threads in your application, definitely there could be some issues as well. Management of threads is really important, and one of the tools is thread pools. There could be scenarios of deadlocks in your applications as well. What is deadlock is something which we will discuss in our future videos. Moreover, there could be like some users who are waiting for resources. Now friends, the purpose of your application should be that you must allocate the resources in a timely and a managed fashion. Moreover, if someone or some user or some other process is waiting for resources from your application, then you must serve these processes, these users in a timely fashion. It shouldn't be a case that a process is getting resources continuously and some other process is waiting infinitely. So your application should be managed. Now creating a multi-threaded application is usually more complex than creating a single threaded application. So that's one thing. Moreover, when we talk about J2EE Advanced Java, where we will discuss Servlet and JSP, in fact, the Servlet engine itself implements thread pools in the background. So that's one thing. Alright, so let's proceed further and let's quickly execute this program, and let me show you how this runs. So first of all, it will show that it is starting the thread, and it will say then running threads. Now friends, the sequence of the thread is not based on the natural ordering, which is one thing, but the most important part is that all of these 16 threads are getting executed simultaneously. For example, if we want to manage these threads in a more efficient manner and we would like to restrict the number of threads which are getting executed simultaneously, then definitely thread pools could be our answer. So let's finally check what exactly is a thread pool and how we can manage these threads in a more efficient manner. Alright, so let's create a thread pool. So we will type an execute a service, and the name of the service could be like execute a service itself equals executors dot new fixed thread pool. Now in here we are creating a thread pool and the maximum number of threads which we will provide is maybe 3. So in the pair of parentheses we will provide the number which may be like 3, or to be very specific, let's give it as 2 to start with. So now maximum threads which can execute using this executors service is 2. Now how to make use of this service to control these 16 threads? Pretty simple. In here we have created couple of objects. These objects are of thread type, as this some thread class is extending thread, so definitely we can like start these threads. But now we won't be taking help of this start method to start this thread, rather we will take help of this execute a service to start these threads. So let's check this out. So let's do one thing, let's get rid of all of these statements, and in here we will make use of this object. So we will type in executor service dot execute, and then we will pass on a object of thread type. So the object of thread type is in front of us, which is thread 1. In this case, let me copy this particular statement and paste it a couple of times. Alright, so this looks good to me. Let me fix couple of things real quick. Alright, so it's thread 1. Let me execute thread 2. Let me pause this video for a couple of seconds in order to make all of these changes. Here we go. So now we have executing these 16 threads. Now friends, let us execute this program and let me show you. In here we can clearly see that only 2 threads are getting executed simultaneously. Let me do one thing, let me stop this program, and in here it is notifying that the application is terminated. Let me do one thing, in here we won't be saying running thread, rather we will type in thread ended. That would be a better message in fact. So we will type in thread ended. Alright, so now let me re-execute this program. Here we go. So as we can clearly see that the application is executing 2 threads simultaneously only, and this is because of thread pool. So this is one thing, but once all of these 16 threads will get executed and they will die in the memory, what happens is our application will not stop executing, it will continue executing, and the reason is because we haven't stopped executor service. Now in order to show you this situation, let me do one thing, let me execute only 2 threads, or only 4 threads to be rather more specific. Let me comment out all of the remaining threads. This will simulate the situation in a better manner. Let me execute the program. Now if we execute the program, only 2 threads are executed, then 2 thread ended the execution, then again 2 thread started, and the last 2 thread ended the execution. In total there were 4 threads. But in here we are not able to see the termination notification by our console, and if we terminate the application explicitly, then only we are getting this message of terminated. And the reason is pretty simple, we haven't shut down this executor, and the way is pretty simple. In here we will say execute service dot shutdown. Alright, so what does this means? This means that once all the threads in the thread pool will stop executing, all the threads in the thread pool will die. Shut down the executor service. So pretty simple and standard meaning. Let me show you. And this time way around, once all of these 4 threads will die, the application should terminated automatically. So this is one thing. Now finally, let us discuss yet another important thing, which is the timeout value. Now we are calling this shutdown method after all the threads gets executed and all the threads in the thread pool dies. But we can also add an explicit value of timeout. Alright, so this is majorly it. Let me do some slight changes in our program and execute this for the very last time in this video. Alright, so majorly thread pool will help us to restrict the number of threads which can be executed, and definitely you can add in multiple thread pools as well. This definitely is a good way to manage your threads and manage the resource allocation of your hardware. So this is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.